everyone, it's Saturday afternoon and it is a beautiful day. So I'm just sitting outside. I'm going to be reading Emily Henry's Great Big Beautiful Life. This last week has been like the worst weather. It has been so humid, and anytime I'm outside it just feels like the humidity is so bad. You could barely breathe. Anytime I have to be outside, even for like the smallest amount of time, I am like drenched in sweat. It's horrible. But today it's like a nice day. It's summer. It's hot, but it's not like overwhelmingly hot, so I could sit outside for a long period of time and just enjoy my reading. So to get into the book, I started it yesterday. I've only read the first few chapters. So far, I think I'm gonna like this. If you saw my last vlog, I was reading a book. I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's Long Live Evil. And when I read like the first few chapters, I wasn't sure how I felt. But with this book, I feel like I'm going to love this. Like from the very first chapter, it had me hooked. Now, I know some people have said that this is different from her normal books. I'm not really sure about that because, I've only read one other Emily Henry book that's Beach Reads, but both Beach Reads and this book have the FMC and the MMC are both writers, both in Beach Reads and in this. They both kind of, start off not particularly liking each other, so I'm not really sure how this is going to be different. But that's why everyone's saying that this is different from her normal thing. But either way, I'm loving it so far. Just give like a little review. What I'm about to say is basically just a summary that you can find in the blurb. So it's no spoilers, but like the main character is named Alice. She's a writer, not for fiction books like in Beach Reads. She's more kind of like a journalist, as well as like she writes autobiographies and stuff. And she's gotten the opportunity of a lifetime to potentially write the autobiography for this like famous heiress who is from a really famous family. She was constantly in like the tabloids. There's like a lot of different, I think she was married to like a rock star and like, basically like almost like a Princess Diana movie star type person. And this woman, this heiress, basically kind of went into hiding for many years, and now she wants to write her autobiography. She's asked Alice to come and potentially be that person. So this would be a huge break for Alice, because while she is a writer and she does work at a company called The Scratch, she isn't like a huge writer. She hasn't gotten her big break yet, and her family, especially sounds like her mother, isn't really impressed by what she's done so far, so she kind of wants to do something to like prove to her family and to like to herself maybe that she is a good writer and that she can make it big, and this would cement her as like a huge writer. The only problem is she's not the only person who has been asked to potentially write this biography. There's a guy named Hayden who already is a huge autobiography type person. He has written an autobiography for another very famous legend, which got him a lot of props. I think he also won like a big award. So he's a big name, so she's kind of nervous because she's in competition with this guy to potentially write this autobiography. The woman doesn't want, she wants to get to know them first before she kind of introduces them to like all of her secrets and all of the like good and bad parts of her life. So they have to be around her for a month. And I guess during that month, she will decide which one of them she wants to be her autobiographer. So she, obviously Alice, is excited for the opportunity, but also kind of scared because she's like, how am I going to stack up against Hayden, someone who's already proven that he can write autobiographies for famous people and that they can be successful and humanize those people. He's already proven himself. Sorry, that was my dog. She sometimes just starts crying for no reason. She just likes attention. But, he's already kind of proven himself that he's capable of doing this job well. Well, she is kind of like a nobody still, so she's really worried and she wants to really prove herself. So I'm at the part where she has been given the offer to basically do this month-long trial. She obviously says yes. Hayden says yes. He is not happy at all. He's like, really upset, and it kind of makes her happy though that he's so upset, because he's like, she kind of feels like, well, if he's upset, that means he doesn't think that this is a slam dunk and that I have a chance here. So far, I'd say the character Alice, she is very happy-go-lucky, but at the same time, she's serious about her job. She could be sarcastic, but not like overly sarcastic. Like, I kind of hate when you've seen some books where a female character is just like every line out of her mouth is sarcasm. I don't like that. She has her moments, and it's like funny. So I would say Emily Henry is a really good writer, so I have no doubts that this is going to be a good book. It's good so far. So yeah, I'm just going to get into it now. I'm going to take the dust jacket off because honestly, I used to always read books with the dust jacket on, but honestly, it's way easier. It's way easier just to read it naked. So here we go. Okay, so I just got to a part of the book where, because she's staying at a motel and a fire alarm has just gone off. She's outside and this creepy drunk guy is trying to hit on her and asking her where her room is, and she's like, kind of like, I don't remember, and he's like getting aggressive, and Hayden, the MMC, comes up, pretends that he is her boyfriend and like gets her away from the drunk guy, and I'm just like, oh, that's sweet. Because like he acts like really grumpy and like he doesn't really like her, but like, you know, we get our first sign that he is a decent man and that he, you know, does the right thing, and kind of like, you know, the first sort of like spark, I guess you could say, between the two of them. He also asked her to come with him to breakfast because he knows that the fire alarm, everyone's going to be outside probably for the next hour, so he's like, even though it's 4 o'clock in the morning, he's like, let's just go and find someplace to eat. So things are progressing, and I'm loving the book so far. I think I've had enough sun for a little bit. I'm back in the air-conditioned house. I have an ice cream sandwich that I'm going to eat, and I think I'm going to take a small break from reading and maybe do some studying. We will see, but I will get back to reading at some point. So it's around 4:30 now. It's a few hours later. It's a lot cooler out now, so I decided to come back outside in the yard. My dog wanted to be out here as well. So I am just going to get back to reading. I just kind of wanted to show off this naked cover. I love how she always has like gold writing on the naked covers, and usually lines from the book. Here it's "From the far side of the world, my heart is with you." So let me get back to it. Okay, so we're only 67 pages in, but already I have a theory that the woman who Alice is interviewing, Alice, the main character, is interviewing a woman named Margaret, who is like this heiress. I've already kind of gone over this. And they sort of are starting to get into a little bit of Margaret's relationship with her late husband. And she says something about, well, Alice says, she talks about this picture of the two of them. They're going up like the steps to a courthouse, and like a lot of people had like negative things to say about it, but she says when she looked at the picture, she saw a man trying to shield Margaret from the world and realizing he couldn't. And prior to this, there was kind of a moment where Hayden and Alice are speaking about their families and kind of being like the black sheep of their families, and Alice kind of shares something a little bit painful about her mom, and Hayden kind of just looks at her. But then they're interrupted by a waitress because they're at a breakfast place. And I suspect, again, only 67 pages in, but I suspect that the love story between Margaret and her late husband is going from the past is going to mirror the love story between Alice and Hayden. Partly because I just feel like that's the natural progression of the story, but also because, as I mentioned, I read Beach Reads a few weeks ago. Well, it took me like 2 months because I kind of stopped to read other books in between for like different vlogs, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And one of the things I loved about Beach Reads was the main characters were like interviewing people from this like deaf cult, and I felt like each interview the people would say something from their past that would kind of mirror January. That's the FMC of Beach Reads. It would kind of mirror what January was going through presently, and I loved how Emily was able to like make that mirror between somebody's past and the main character's present. And I suspect that that's what she's going to do in this book as well. Again, I've only read one book by her, but I don't know if that's the thing she does in all her books. I love it, because I love that was like one of my favorite things about Beach Reads was those interviews and like connecting, like, oh, what this person is talking about mirrors how January feels right now about like her father, about her past relationships or whatever. So I'm hoping that I'm right about that, about, you know, this current book. I think that would be very interesting. I could be wrong, of course, but if I'm right and they're going to make that mirror between the two, I think I'll thoroughly enjoy that. But that's kind of like my little prediction. Honestly, I think I really love the way Emily Henry writes. Let me just read this passage to you. The reason Lawrence Richard Ives got rich wasn't because of a knack for business, it was because he was hungry. Because he was born in the harsh winter of 1830 on a failing farm, the 8th of 10 children. By adulthood, there would be only 6. The world is cruel and dangerous, and Lawrence learned this death by death. That is like, wow. And then there's another passage here that I just kind of want to read. And no matter how much they made, Lawrence's hunger never abated. Instead, it grew and grew. The more he had, the more he craved. The more he accumulated, the more there was to lose, and the terror that never let up. Honestly, like this chapter, it was chapter 7, and I loved it. It's not like a long chapter. It's only 4 pages. It's basically Lawrence Richard Ives is the father of Margaret Ives, who is the woman that the main character Alice is interviewing. So she's like going over her family history, and her father Lawrence is the person, I guess, who made their family rich. He was born poor, and this is going over how he like made his money, and it's pretty interesting. I'm loving it so far. Yeah, this is just cementing me as an Emily Henry fan. Again, we're only on chapter 8, so there's still a lot more story to go, but a pretty strong start. Sorry, I have to make a correction. Lawrence is not Margaret's father. It's her great-grandfather, okay? So yeah, so that was her great-grandfather. So that means that there was money in the family for generations, for at least like 3-4 generations before it got to her. But she's starting at, I guess, like the beginning of how their family made their fortune. So pretty interesting. So she's going way back, which is something that Alice didn't expect. But yeah, pretty cool. So she's going to be getting deep into her family lore. So I just wanted to make that correction. Oh, it's Monday morning. It's not overbearingly hot like it has been for the last 2 weeks. So I decided to do my meeting outside. My dog is out here enjoying herself. This is actually the first time I've done the meeting out in my backyard. Usually I do it either in my basement or my bedroom, but it just felt nice. As you can see, I'm wearing a coat because I'm sitting in the shade. It's weird, like if I'm in the sun, sometimes I feel nice, or sometimes I feel like really, really hot. But if I sit in the shade for a long period of time, I start getting chilly. So it's like I can never win. But sitting in the shade with this like light sort of fall jacket on feels so nice. So like I'm happy. So now that my morning meeting is out of the way, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably head to the library. Well, first I want to head to this coffee shop near the library that I like to go to. It's like really cute. I found it like about a month ago. I didn't even know that it existed until like last month. And when I walked in, immediately I was like, this is so cute. I love it. So I'm probably gonna go there first today, maybe get like a smoothie or some ice cream. No, I think it's sherbet. Like, well, it tastes like ice cream though. I had like the hazel sherbet before and it tasted so good. So maybe I might get that again, or a different flavor. Or maybe I might get my usual smoothie because I really like the smoothies there. So I'll do that, and then after I'll probably go to the library and just like do some work, as well as continue to read Big Beautiful Life. What I want to do today is a mixture of like doing work, so studying for my last LLQP, At least a little bit of writing, because I've been really bad. I haven't done like a fair amount of writing in a while, because I've mostly just been like working, and then like on the weekends just going out to like different festivals and stuff in Toronto. But like, yeah, I want to at least get back into my draft for my story, so maybe just do like a little bit of plotting, some more ideas or whatever. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do, but I just want to get something down on page, and then also continue reading as well. So I'm going to do like all three. I'm mostly obviously going to be working for the next few hours, but like on my breaks I might like do some reading and some writing. So far in the book, I am really, really liking the book so far. The main character is not annoying me. Like, she's really happy-go-lucky. So she does have, like, a few moments where, like, she's, like, where I'm like, girl, you could say that that person's a jerk. You don't have to say that they're actually still a good person. Like, you could be annoyed with them. But I still really like the character. She has, like, her funny moments. She did her first interview with Margaret, the sort of famous heiress that she wants to do the autobiography for. She learned a little bit about Margaret's great-grandfather, and she kind of found out, or she thinks that Margaret may have told like a little fib to her, but she's not completely sure if it was a fib or if she just misremembered something, or if she's not sure if she's making too big a deal about something, or if this is going to lead to something big. She's not sure if she should like ask Margaret, or if she should like kind of like do some more digging first, because like she technically doesn't have the job. She's doing like a month-long trial period. Her and her rival, I guess, for the job, Hayden, they both are going to be kind of like spending a month kind of talking to Margaret, and I guess by the end of the month, Margaret will either decide who she wants to do the autobiography, if she even wants either of these people to do it, because technically it could end with her saying, I don't actually want either of you. I don't like either of you. I'm going to find some more people, or I'm not going to do the autobiography. I've decided that I don't really want to do this. In the end, talking about this wasn't for me. So like there's no guarantees of anything. Well, they're getting paid though, so it's still technically a job. They're getting money, but at the end of the month, they may not be doing the autobiography. So they have to like kind of like gain her trust and like hope that she opens up to them and like wants them. And the thing is, they signed an NDA as well, so it's not even like she's going to tell them a bunch of things and then they could just decide to write the autobiography or write like a news piece or whatever without her permission. Like, they would be sued. So anything she tells them, even like the juicy information that I'm sure is going to be, you know, revealed throughout the book, like they cannot tell this information to anybody unless they get hired to do this autobiography. So like I'm really, really interested. Like, I'm only a few chapters in, but I'm really invested in the story. I know like this book, I was kind of nervous going into this because on one hand, I love to beach read, so I do want to read more Emily Henry. But at the same time, this particular book, her newest release, has had mixed reviews, more so than any other book she's had, because people say that it's kind of different from her other books. Some people like it, some people don't. So far, I'm on the camp of loving the book so far, but again, it's only the beginning. But so far, so good. Hopefully, it stays good throughout the rest of the story. I'm not really sure what they mean by it being different, because I don't feel like it's that different from beach reads. I mean, it's a girl that's like pretty happy-go-lucky. Well, I mean, I guess in beach reads, the girl was January was happy-go-lucky, but then something happens that's kind of changed her mood, at least through most of the book. Well, in this one, Alice is like happy-go-lucky person. She hasn't experienced the things that January has. So, oh, sorry, that's my dog. She is still happy, but there's a little bit of like turmoil kind of with her relationship. She's kind of in a situationship with this guy. She's not really sure how she feels about him right now because he's not really committing to her. And then you can sense there's some turmoil with her mom because her mom doesn't really respect what she does for a living. So like there's obviously going to be some things, some layers, some issues that are going to be brought up from Alice's point of view, some stuff from Margaret, probably some stuff from Hayden. But so far, I am loving this book. So Yeah, I've been yapping enough. I'm gonna head out and see you again at the coffee shop. So it's around 4 o'clock on a Tuesday, and I have read a little bit more of Big Beautiful Life. I'm about like a little like close to 40% through the book, so I'm getting close to the midway points. And there's a lot of like juicy information that's being divulged about Margaret's family, which I find really interesting. I'm finding the history of Margaret's family to be extremely fascinating, so I'm really enjoying that. And then in terms of the romance is progressing pretty slowly. It's funny because they have kissed. Sorry about the noise, but they have kissed a few times. But it's funny because I feel like just like with beach reads, there have moments, like the couples have moments where they're intimate, but yet it'll still come across as a slow burn. Like, yeah, they're kissing stuff, but then there'll be like, they're taken back or like their setback will happen. So like I still consider this a slow burn. And like, there was kind of like a moment where they kind of had like a little bit of fight, but now they're kind of trying to be friends, but still like rivals for this autobiography. So I think it's pretty interesting, but that's just my update for now. I do plan, I'm basically out right now and I'm going to go home. I have some other things I have to do, but probably later on tonight I will continue reading and give another update. So it's Thursday around 3 o'clock. I'm about to head to a cafe. I'm going to do some work and some reading. Now, I've been reading this book nonstop for like the last like 5-6 days. I think I'm going to take a little break from it and start this book, which is Death of the Author. This came out a few months ago, I think in like January or February. And I have wanted to read this so bad. It's just that my TBR is so long and I'm constantly getting distracted by like new books. Like I have a bad habit of like, I buy a book and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read this, put it on my physical TBR, and then like I just completely forget about it because my TBR is so long, and then I like buy other books, and sometimes the very new books I get, especially if it's like a new release, I get excited and like bump that to the top of my TBR. So I'm going to start at least the first few chapters while I'm out, and I'll give like a little update on that. But later on tonight I will get back to the Emily Henry book. I just want to like show off how pretty this is. Like, look at that. And the sprayed edges. And then I also want to show the naked cover as well, because like this naked cover is gorgeous. This is the naked cover for the book. Like, look at that. The side, and then like the back, and then like even the inside of the book, the end papers. Like, I'm not sure which I prefer, if I prefer the naked cover or the like dust jacket. I think they're both gorgeous. Actually, to be honest, I think I prefer the naked cover just a little bit more. I like the kind of like robot, because it is a sci-fi novel. But yeah, so Not that I dislike this book, it's just that reading the same book like nonstop can kind of like, you need like a little, I feel like I need like just a slight break and a little breakup where I read something else. But so far in this book, I'm getting close to the halfway mark for this, and I am loving the book so far though. I love like the interview style, like the interviews with Margaret and finding out more about Margaret's family. I love, you know, slowly finding out more about Alice's sort of like strained relationship with her mother. And I also kind of love the slow burn. I feel like sometimes some authors will like attempt to do a slow burn, but like it's hard to get like juggle a slow burn while also still making it obvious that the people are attracted to each other, and it ends up being like insta lust or insta love. And as if you watched my last vlog, you know I'm not a fan of insta love, and I'm certainly not a fan of if it's supposed to be a slow burn. Like you could tell it's supposed to be a slow burn, especially if it's like an enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers type of thing, and then like they're like clearly head over heels in love with each other by like chapter 3. But like, yeah, I feel like Emily Henry always gets like that sort of balance between letting us see that, yeah, there's something there between the two characters while still making it seem like a slow burn and still having the relationship kind of like fold out over time. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I just need like a slight break right now, but I will be getting back to it later on tonight. So I'm just gonna head out now, and I will be just doing more work and beginning this book. Oh my god, I love that. Sorry, just before I leave, I realized I never actually explained what Death of an Author is about, so let me just read the little blurb. Disabled, disinclined to marry, more interested in writing than a lucrative career in medicine or law, Zilu has always felt like the outcast of her large Nigerian family. Then her life is upended at her sister's lavish Caribbean wedding when she's unceremoniously fired from a university job, and to add insult to injury, her most recent book is rejected by yet another publisher. With her career and dreams crushed in one fell swoop, she decides to write something just for herself. What comes out is nothing like the quiet literary novels that have peppered her unremarkable career. It's a far future epic where androids and AI wage war in the grown-over ruins of human civilization. She calls it Rested Robots. When Zilu finds the courage to share her strange story, she does not realize she is about to embark on a life-altering journey, one that will catapult her into literary stardom, but also perhaps oh my god, I swear I can read. Obliterate everything her book was meant to be. From Chicago to Lagos to the outer reaches of space, Zilu's novel will change the future not only for humanity, but as for the robots who come next. So a book within a book that blurs the line between writing and being written, Death of the Author is a masterpiece of metafiction that manages to combine the razor-sharp commentary of Yellowface with the heartfelt humanity of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Surprisingly funny, deeply poignant, and endlessly discussable, this is at once the tale of a woman on the margins risking everything to be heard, and a testament to the power of storytelling to shape the world as we know it. So this sounds incredibly interesting. I am very excited to begin it. It's funny, I'm reading 2 books back to back about authors, which wasn't really my intention, but I'm totally fine with that. As someone who loves literature and is also an aspiring author, I guess like it makes sense that I would be drawn to those type of books. But yeah, so I am finally going to be heading out now. So it's been a few weeks, and unfortunately I wasn't reading during that time because I was just so busy with work and there's just a lot of things going on. So now I'm starting to get back into the book finally. I'm currently on my way to Caribana, which is a West Indian festival that happens during the summertime in Toronto. So I'm very excited to head to that. But yeah, unfortunately, I meant for this vlog to be only a few days, but unfortunately it's gone on to a few weeks. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since I updated, and I've not been very good with this vlog, but the reason why is because I haven't been able to do a ton of reading or writing. Work has been pretty fast-paced for the last few weeks, and like I felt like every weekend I had like different events and things to go to. And one of the issues I also have is when I stop reading a book for a period of time, I start losing interest in reading it. So then I started to, like, even when I had like little moments I could read a little bit, I would choose not to. So I did do a little bit of reading yesterday. Today's Sunday. I did a little bit of reading yesterday. During the week, I went to Indigo. Well, I've gone to Indigo a lot because I just like sit in the cafe to like do work and stuff. But they had this box set with the first 3 books of The Wheel of Time, and it was for a really good price, so I couldn't pass that up. I bought it. And as I said, like, I wasn't like super into getting back into the Emily Henry book, but I wanted to start reading again. So I started yesterday basically like the first 2 prologues for The Wheel of Time. I'm going to be getting into chapter 1 for this. It's good so far. I mean, it's just the prologues, but the way they were set up was pretty interesting. I know there's like a TV show, I believe, on, it even says here, Prime. So at some point I do want to watch the show as well. And because I started, reading, that did get me into wanting to read this again. So I read a little bit of this yesterday, and I'm going to do some more reading today. I'm going to be going to the CNE, so again, going out and doing something. For anyone outside of Canada who doesn't know what the CNE is, it's kind of like this event, this festival that they put on in Ontario at like during August, and there are rides, there's games, like lots of different game stalls. I think they have like, there's animal sort of shows. Like I used to watch these dog shows when I would go with my grandmother. When I was younger, I used to go with her almost every summer, and we'd go to like the different dog shows. So they have that. They have, because they have different areas, both inside and outside. So like obviously like the rides and certain games and like food stalls, they would have those outside, and then they would have another like area inside that would have more foods, the thing with like the different animals, and as well as like different art exhibits and like different things where you could buy like t-shirts and mugs, and different like just different art pieces. So like there's kind of like a little bit of everything, and they have it. It's called the CNE, or the exhibition. You could go on Instagram or TikTok, and you could find like different videos on it. So yeah, I'm going to that. I always feel, happy to go to the CNE, but also a little bit sad because it's always kind of like the mark that summer is like kind of ending. Like this is the last bit of fun you're gonna have until like the last bit of fun for summer, and then it's gonna like roll over to summer. I mean, that used to be really sad, especially for when I was like younger, because then that was kind of like the indication that school was going to begin again, and that was never a happy time for me. But even as an adult, I would be like, oh, summer's over, because I never particularly like the only seasons that I liked growing up was summer and spring, but now I'm starting to get into fall, so this won't be that sad. I still hate winter. I'm not a winter person, and winter in Canada can be very extreme at times, so yeah, not a fun time for me. But yeah, so I'm gonna get back into reading. I'm probably gonna bring the book with me to read in the car. I don't know if I'm actually going to do that or not, because like I always bring books with me to read in the car, and then half the time I don't do any reading. So we'll see. But yeah, that's just my little update. So I wanted to give my final thoughts on Great Big Beautiful Life. I know a lot of her longtime fans were disappointed. This book got a lot of mixed reviews. One of the big issues I saw, at least on Goodreads, is people saying that this was mislabeled, that this was a romance. It was women's literature with just like a little bit of romance. And I would say that it does lean very much into women's literature, but I still feel like it can be categorized as romance. Now, for me, I've only read one other Emily Henry book, and that was Beach Reads, and I really enjoyed it. That's why I picked this one up. So I didn't have the same probably expectations that some of her longtime fans had. So when I read this, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. One of the things I kept seeing in the reviews, the negative reviews, is people not being happy that it seemed like the focus was more on Margaret's life and her family history versus on the romance between Alice and Hayden. I, on the other hand, was totally fine with that. I absolutely loved Margaret's history, finding about her great-grandfather, her grandfather, her father and her mother, aunts and uncles. Like, I actually really enjoyed learning all the family history and then learning about Margaret's. Because to me, one of the things that Margaret was saying was like that this was her story. Like when Alice would say, oh, we're finally getting to your story, meaning like we're past like the stuff about your family, Margaret would say, this is my story. This is all part of my story. And I thought that that was completely true. Like you could see how each generation had an influence on the next. Like the great-grandfather, he grew up poor. He basically did everything he could to get out of poverty and to look after his sister. He was a really tough man who had to do like a lot of sort of ruthless things to become who he was. I think that obviously affected the relationship he had with his son, because he seemed to like not really approve of his son, and I feel like part of that is the fact that the son grew up wealthy, so he probably didn't feel like, oh, you're not as tough as me. So that caused like the grandson, or Margaret's grandfather, to basically push himself to become like this amazing businessman, because he wanted to prove to his father that he wasn't a failure. So that kind of like shaped who he was. And then like the things that he went through also shaped his children, which then, you know, his Margaret's father became who he was, partially because of the life he had with his grandfather, and then the way he was and the way that Margaret's mother behaved obviously shaped Margaret and her sister Lauren. So like each generation, so I definitely felt like the family history better helps me understand each generation and understand Margaret and the reason why Margaret made certain decisions in her life. So to me, I thought it was really interesting. And there was a romance too with Margaret and her husband Cosmo. So I feel like there was actually multiple love stories. You had Alice and Hayden, Margaret and Cosmo. You had her grandfather and his mistress. They kind of had like a love story as well. So there was like multiple love stories in this. But I guess like for her Emily Henry's longtime fans, they want the love story to be focused on like one couple, like how Beach Reads focuses on January and Gus. I mean, that's how most, in fairness, that's how most love stories are. It's one couple or potentially two couples, but this is like showing different couples throughout the generations, as well as the present day. So, and there were parallels too between the different couples, including parallels between Margaret's life and Alice's life. So I actually thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. But I understand why a lot of her fans would be disappointed because it is something she herself in the author's notes, in the acknowledgement, basically meant, she acknowledges the fact that this is obviously different from what she normally writes. So even she knew, I'm sure when publishing this, she knew that she could potentially get mixed reviews for this. And as someone who is an aspiring writer, I do have an appreciation for the fact that like she has stepped outside of what she normally does and tried something new, did a different project. Obviously, that's how I'm going to feel. People who are just like readers, they're not necessarily going to have that appreciation. And then honestly, they don't have to, because at the end of the day, they bought her book. They spent their hard-earned money on it. So if they don't like it, they have every right to say they don't like it. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was a really, really good book. I would recommend this to people. If you've never read Emily Henry specifically, I would recommend this to you. If you're an Emily Henry fan who hasn't read it yet, I would still recommend it to you, but obviously take into consideration the fact that it is different from her normal books. So even if you like really love like Beach Reads or Funny People or any of her other books, take into consideration that this is not going to be well, it's weird because I felt like there were still similarities between this and Beach Reads, but I guess there was enough differences that people just felt, I think because like romance wasn't the only thing that we got from this, but even in Beach Reads, I felt like there was like a lot of different other aspects, and it did feel like it was like a mixture of romance with some feminine literature kind of sprinkled in. Well, this one, I guess, was leaning a little bit more towards feminine literature. But yeah, I love Emily Henry's writing, and I recently bought People We Meet on Vacation, one of the special editions, so I'm really excited to get into that. That would be my third Emily Henry book. I do plan to read all of her adult novels and maybe get into her her YA books. I know they're not as well known. Like, I don't really hear anyone talk about them. I only hear people talk about like her adult novels. They're the more popular ones. That doesn't necessarily mean that like the YA ones aren't good. But yeah, I want to get into all her adult novels. So yeah, that's basically my review. Oh, I guess I should have given a star rating. Star rating, I would say 4.5. Because there were a few times where Alice kind of annoyed me a little bit, but for the most part, the story was really well done, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, another amazing Emily Henry book. My next vlog will be me reading Calabasas, so stay tuned for that.